Another thing that you're able to do is actually convert this over to data. So sometimes pictures are great, but quite often seeing the actual data itself is sometimes more meaningful. We want to look at absolute values. So what this does is quickly converts this over to a chart, over to a grid, with the actual values within it that you can then use for deeper analysis. And again, similar to the ability to export over to PowerPoint, you can then export this out to Excel and include this or do more detailed analysis if you want to add individual spreadsheets, immediate access to the data. What's very nice about this as well is it does provide your cookie crumb. So you do know with the analysis over here, who the advisor is, what date periods you're working with, data was generated, what parameters you're working with, what the overall rankings and bandings were. It allows you to filter this information down a little bit further. If you're a bit more sophisticated, what you're able to do as well is to kind of drill down within these individual objects as well. What we've tried to do, and I'll show this in a second, but what we've tried to do with our dashboards is try to avoid the whole drill down into the actual cube itself. It's not that we discourage the functionality, but what we wanted to try to do is to try to surface as much of the information on the dashboard itself in a nice user-friendly graphical interface. Because you'll see once we start diving into the drill down, it's sometimes hard to remember exactly where you were and where you drilled down through. So we tried to use our multi-tiered drill down within our cubes to be able to illustrate that information. But you do have access to the entire cube if you want to drill down. You can drill into advisors, accounts, households, products. You can go in and pull out and say, who are the individual clients, and you'll see, I'm not sure what happened there, but it does allow you to drill into the individual information as necessary. So that's my first scenario. So you can see very quickly how you're able to go through, see the health of your business, see where you're hurting most, see which client segments are most impacting your business, and see how you're comparing relative to your peers. The next scenario I wanted to look at was another kind of day in the life of an advisor. But in this case, we're talking about Greg Alderson. He's a top performer. He ranked #1 in his branch for October 2009 and #2 within the nation. But the reason he got there is because he's always looking for that next opportunity. So in particular, what we want to look at today is he wants to see which clients that he can increase wallet percentages on, which ones he has the most opportunity to do that for, which clients are his best referral sources, and which client referrals haven't really materialized and maybe ones that he can potentially work on. So we're going to kind of do 3 different things within this. We're going to review wallet percentages, figure out which wallet percentages are lower than they should be or have the most opportunity for growth, and create some CRM actions for that. We're then going to look at referral sources and do a bit of analysis, see which ones from a volume perspective are generating a lot of referrals and which ones have good conversion rates, and create CRM actions against those. And then what we're going to do is for one particular referral client that hasn't converted very well, we're going to take a look at a little bit more detail and try to get an understanding of which ones converted well, which ones didn't, and where the opportunities lie in terms of converting referrals as well. So we'll switch back over to dashboards, and what I'll do now is going to kind of dive into the client details. So as you can see, the filters can be linked for the individual dashboards are linked together, so when you go from one area to the next, there's continuity between the filters, so you don't lose your perspective when you go from one dashboard to the other. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to a different advisor. So the view you're seeing here is the kind of access that you would have as a branch manager, being able to go and look at each individual advisor. If you're actually an individual advisor itself, the advisor drop-down would be only limited to yourself. So really the only thing you'd be able to monitor, play with would actually be the month, the date period itself. So you can see here, Greg's doing fantastic. He's trending way up in his branch. He's trending way up nationally, but he's not satisfied. He wants to keep working on it. So today he really wants to focus on individual clients. So what we're going to do is we want to select all of the clients. So he has a full perspective of everything. And what he really wants to focus on this first analysis is he really wants to focus on wallet percentages. So what can be made available is this whole filter mode. So this is, we don't put this on every single dashboard, especially ones where we just bands, we got limited sets and you can see everything yourself. But what we do really emphasize is where you're doing long detailed lists and you need to be able to quickly pull information off a detailed list. You know, here we've only shown 20 clients, but an advisor could potentially have quite a few more. And trying to work through the data and sort the data quickly is difficult to do unless you have some advanced tools. So in this case, we go into a filter mode, and you can see different options, sort ascending, top 10, you can do custom filters. In this case, what we want to do is just sort ascending. And so we can see very quickly which ones we have high percentages and low percentages for. And in this particular case, we can see that Felicia is only 37.4%. And by clicking on Felicia, we can limit the chart on the right-hand side to see how her wallet percentage is trending. It dropped down a little bit early in the year and has been increasing ever since, which is great. It shows there's more opportunity there. But what it's also indicating, but it's still not over 40%, where the majority of people are up in the 50, 60%. So I think there's a lot of opportunity there. So because of that, we've determined we wanted to create a CRM action as a follow-up item to follow up with her, schedule a meeting, see what we can do. In order to do that, what we need to do is we need to filter the client list to the person that we'd like to do the CRM action for. Apply that, so we've limited it down to the people we want to do CRM actions for, and then we can update the clients within CRM. So the clients that were selected to show up on the left-hand side here, these actions will be whatever actions are configured within your CRM application. These are the ones that are in our test environment. In this case, we want to do a flag for follow-up. In this case, we just want to schedule the meeting to discuss increasing wallet size. Submit that. It's now within your CRM application. Next time you go into CRM, it'll be a flag for follow-up, and either yourself or your assistants would then be able to schedule that meeting and get that coordinated. The next area that we wanted to focus on, and we'll go back to the entire client listing. And again, these clients would obviously filter down to the individual advisor. What we want to look at now is overall referrals. So within referrals, you can see we've got number of active referrals and the total number of referrals within the system. You can see if you do a quick scan up and down this list, we've got actually two accounts where they've got high referrals, Jose Patterson and Bethany Shee. High number of referrals and high conversion rates. So in that case, we've filtered down to these two, create CRM actions, send them a gift, send them a thank you note, thank you for the business, thank you for the referrals, that kind of thing. The other two, Lawrence and there's another one at the bottom, have given us lots of referrals, but they haven't converted over that well. So these ones you might want to do a bit of follow-up, meet with them, and try to get an understanding of why these referrals may or may not be occurring. But prior to your meeting, you want to go in there with a bit more information than just, hey, you sent me 10 referrals, only converted 3, what's going on? You want to have a bit more information. So prior to the meeting, you probably want to go into the client householding dashboard and get a better understanding of what's going on with the referrals and going on with their detailed business. What we've kind of included on this one is we've kind of shown what are all the different households, so kind of the cross-households that they are involved in, get an understanding of their overall group perspective, what their overall group is, who they deal with, you know, whether they're squash members, tennis members, family members, who's part of their different households, related households, and get an idea of who their primary household members. But for this particular meeting, we want to focus on who are their client referrals. So in this case, we can see the 10 referrals that have come in. The majority have been friends, and there's been a couple business associates. I think what's important to pull out of this is that they've had a 100% conversion rate on business associates. So any business associates they brought in, they've had a 100% conversion factor. Family members, they've actually done well. All the friends that they've sent us, nothing's happened. So part of what you want to do is maybe get an understanding of, you sent me all these friends, what's happened? Did you just give me all these names but you didn't talk to them? These haven't converted, what's going on? Get an understanding of what's going on there. But what you might want to focus on as well is saying, I've had really good luck with business associates. Is there any other business associate referrals? Because you do have a 100% conversion rate within those. And that's an area that you might want to focus on. So just trying to give you an idea of just some of the overall capabilities an individual advisor would be able to gather from this data. And you can see very quickly in the 15, 20 minutes that I've been presenting how much information an individual advisor can get out of this. If they were to do this through a lot of traditional reporting, whatever else, they would probably have to go through dozens and dozens of reports, pages and pages, and may or may not come to the same conclusions because of information overload. Allows you to get the information you need as quickly as possible. The last scenario, before we wrap it up a little bit, is I wanted to kind of show you what can be done at a higher levels within the organization, within the branches and at the corporate level. The dashboards at the corporate level kind of is designed to kind of support really two different types of initiatives or two different purposes of the CEO. One is that more tactical day-to-day, which regions are doing well, which branches are doing well, which advisors are doing well, where we're doing well, which different areas, what products are selling well, all that kind of thing. But then the other one is using it as a tool to help you monitor and track long-term corporate strategies. So the one example we use today is trying to have the business move more towards fee-based revenue away from the more traditional commission-based revenue and seeing how are we doing one way versus the other. The second thing we're going to, so that's kind of at the corporate level. At the regional and branch level, the dashboards are a bit more focused on managing individual advisors, understanding who are my top performers, who are my bottom performers, what are some of the efficiencies that we can kind of gather between different teams, what are some of our opportunities for training and professional development, that type of thing. So what we'll do is we're actually going to go back, and we're actually going to move back up to corporate dashboards. We're going to take a look at October 2009 as well. And what we want to do is we're going to focus on revenue. And revenue, for the most part, has been flat. But over the years, it's gone up quite a bit. But we want to take a look and just make sure that trend is consistent across all the different regions. So if we take a look on that basis, you'll see that Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver have actually been gangbusters. All three of those regions have about 20% growth. Halifax is not far behind, but Calgary and Winnipeg have been lagging significantly. We got 4% growth in both regions. Calgary is a little bit bigger, so we'll focus our next analysis a little bit on Calgary.